Hey friends, welcome back to Dolynny TV on a busy Sunday as the New York Islanders get set to face the Edmonton Oilers on Tuesday. And I figured, hey, you know what? There's something about the Columbus Blue Jackets that spurred some thought about the New York Islanders for me today. I'll explain further in detail, but of course today's video kind of a look-see into the future, maybe look back in channel history here on Dolynny TV specifically. In terms of Mattias Ekholm and how he ultimately became an Edmonton Oiler, that's the grain of salt I want you to use on today's video. Without further ado though, if you are new to the channel over the next 8, 9, 10 minutes, or a returning viewer that hasn't quite hit that subscribe button yet, I encourage you to do that. We're closing in 35 now, away from 17,000. So that'd be pretty crazy to hit sometime this month. We still got 20 days. I believe I can do it. Now that said, what are we talking about in today's video? Scott Mayfield, who is signed for a long duration in Long Island with the Islanders. I'll tell you, well, he's been at times over the past about year and a half a target of the Edmonton Oilers trade rumor mill or actual trade target at some point or another. Now, obviously signing the deal with New York, keeping him there till 2031. That kind of changes things. At least I think it's 2031. Let's spoil things. 2030. Sorry. I'll explain myself further here in a matter of seconds. Right? Okay, everyone got time? Everyone sit down, settle, grab the popcorn, let's go. Today's video was originally going to be about Damon Severson, because what happened today, as we know, Dante Fabro was on waivers over the past 24 hours from the Nashville Predators, ends up in Columbus. Now, Columbus's D-core is heavily clogged up with NHL caliber talent, NHL steady caliber talent, right? There's too many guys in Columbus to name. Obviously, they need the cap space and they need the contracts on the books. There's a whole bunch of things there with the NHL salary cap that they have to take care of, and Dante Fabro helps deal with that to some degree. The bigger thing here, though, was that logjam in Columbus in terms of quality defenseman kind of got me thinking, let's go Damon Severson here. What could the Oilers maybe offer up to get going? And then you realize Damon Severson signed for like 8 years at over $6 million per. It's like, no, we already got that guy, and that guy was Mattias Ekholm a couple years ago. So then all of a sudden I go, let me check what I had on file with Damon Severson so far in the videos here. I have a video from back in May 2023, just after the Oilers were eliminated by the Vegas Golden Knights. The video really did absolutely nothing. It was kind of a troublesome time to be an Oilers fan, because it's like we're this close and we are still a long dang ways away. And obviously the playoffs were on as well. So kind of the views were down, and I'm like, what was bad about this video? What was interesting about this video? And a name I saw in that video was Scott Mayfield. So come home, get things going, and here we are able to discuss Scott Mayfield as a potential trade target. Now this is like I said, a future look-see. I don't know if it happens necessarily this year. I do ultimately see the Oilers, especially over the next 2 or 3 years, targeting a guy like Scott Mayfield. Yes, he's got that term till 2030, but oh, well, whatever, right? And I think, too, you look at this player card here, it already explains itself. I don't have to tell you nothing, right? $17.54 a night on the right side for Scott Mayfield in New York. Well, I'll tell you, he definitely would be a 20-minute-a-night defenseman in Edmonton at 6'5", 220. This guy has been a lifelong Islander, and a guy that I doubt will ever actually leave Long Island. But again, you kind of look at how this breaks down for the Oilers. They're looking for a shutdown defenseman with term and size to pair with Darnell Nurse. Well, at 6'5", 220, if you're telling me Scott Mayfield doesn't fit that billing, I don't know what to tell you. Again, this is a fit thing. This is not a necessarily is going to happen today thing. But just with the New York Islanders coming into town, worth noting that they have a guy that kind of fits the billing of what we've been talking about since we traded Cody Ceci. And the nice part here is he's at a $3.5 million contract, 2023 expiry. So, you can kind of fit that one under the cap rather nicely. I think there's not much really to that one for the Oilers. 3.5, anything under $5 million is going to be somehow, some way doable for the Oilers. I promise you that. and at 3.5, that is fully doable. But like I said, this year, probably a stretch. Next year, the year after, I can 100% see this coming to fruition for the Edmonton Oilers, especially kind of with the increased salary cap coming and stuff. But like I said, lifelong New York Islander for Scott Mayfield. That's where this gets interesting, right? Is you're prying a guy away that probably will never want to, never has wanted to, never will leave Long Island, but a guy who has never scored more than 24 points in a season. He's played one full year in his lifetime with the Islanders. I guess 79 games is as close to a full year as you're going to get, but this year playing 15 games with New York so far, and a guy that, again, checks the boxes, right? Plays that anywhere from 17 to 20 minutes a night over the course of his career, kind of settles in around that 18-minute mark by the looks of it. A guy that isn't going to take necessarily a ton of penalties, has some high watermarks there, but nothing too outlandish for the Oilers to combat, and a guy that so far in his career has never been a massive dash, a massive negative at any point in his tenure in the NHL. So that's a positive. And again, when you go to the 6'5", 220, there's a lot to like with Scott Mayfield. I know there was a lot to like a year and a half ago with Scott Mayfield. And at 32 years old, again, a guy that, right, been around, veteran experience, and a guy that has playoff time in his career. Not like the New York Islanders haven't been there, done that a couple of times in his career. A total of 5 times he's played in separate playoffs. 1920, he played 22 games in the playoffs. 2021, he played 19 games. He's a guy that does show up and score points realistically, just about what is that? A 0.28 points per game clip. I was going to say 0.33, but that didn't quite math out. And a guy that, again, in the NHL playoffs tends to average some more ice time, probably closer to 20 minutes a night as opposed to his regular season 18. Now, obviously, the New York Islanders have changed since the time that Scott Mayfield was playing heavy minutes in the NHL playoffs, but you get where I'm going. So, no, I think, again, this is one of those things, a deal definitely has been instructed from many sources inside the Oilers media corps that there will be something coming for a bigger defenseman, shutdown style, play alongside Darnell Nurse in the top four, so capable of playing those minutes, and, oh, by the way, has some term left. That's been a term that Bob Stauffer specifically has used multiple times. So we'll see ultimately what the deal ends up being, but I just figured it was kind of intriguing how the process behind this video worked to some extent, kind of looking at it through the lens of, okay, Damon Severson, no, wait a minute, Scott Mayfield's also in this old video. Let's talk about that. Let's explore that a little bit. Cap hit makes sense, size, range, body weight, all makes sense for an Oilers top four right-hand shot defenseman, and it just kind of so happens that the New York Islanders are in town, or the Oilers are facing the Islanders. I should really double check the schedule here on Tuesday. So just a timely little video for you as well, localizing it, as they say in the broadcasting biz. Friends, this is Dolynny TV. I'm going to tell you, I was gonna just head on over here. I'm going to tell you again, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I really need to push this a little harder, hammer it home. 17,000, we're on the cusp here. Let's get it done. Thanks for being aboard. I'm up on, gone.